The great truth of the universe lies within the human imagination. It's the source, it's the sun, and those who understand its powers are the lords of all created things. Paracelsus. I can't read that, but it's Charles Darwin basically saying that he doesn't believe that the eye came from the idea of natural selection. It's too sophisticated. He's kind of admitting it on his near his deathbed. Because the eye relates to the way in which we see. It's a lens, and this is my feeling as an artist. The right brain is solar, Atlantean. It's feminine actually. It's not masculine, and the left brain is lunar, as in crazy. And these are the two areas of the brain again I was talking about before, which is beautifully depicted in a church in I think it's in Cornwall, and it's Tintagel, where one of those places where King Arthur was supposed to have been buried. I'm sure Alan will correct me on that. Or was he married? I can't remember. Anyway, but the idea of the lunar and the solar, and Christ stands in the centre, Christ consciousness. Earth equals heart in that sense, and you only have to reverse the words and play around with them and you'll get that idea. Seeing is believing. No, believing is seeing. Can you see that stuff moving? Yeah. We're tricked all the time, aren't we? Just aware of time. That was the awareness test that I saw on the net, where you had those basketball players, and it was saying how many passes do the white team make, and you're watching it very closely, and then at the end it said how many passes were there then, and I counted 13, and then they said yeah, correct, but did you see the moonwalking bear? Have you seen that on YouTube? And there's another one that BBC put out on the Horizon programme with a gorilla. All through this programme you have to spot the gorilla. And basically we don't see everything that we're meant to see because we are partially blind based on electromagnetic light. Dolphins prove this to us by the very fact that they read imagery behind. I mean, these have put Derren Brown to shame, these creatures. You can show a dolphin a symbol, and then you can lock that symbol in a box, and the dolphin will go and find the correct symbol in the correct box. How does it know that symbol's in there? It's seeing from another level of reality. Seeing the earth from another level of reality. William Blake said, "For mercy has a human heart, and pity a human face, and love the human form divine, and peace the human dress." They're the chakras, the solar system, the human body, the human form, the colour wheel. I mean, the only thing is that we exist, it's not a very good example, but we exist in the centre, we're all things. On the edge, we're divided. As they say in the Babylonian religion, if you push everything to the rim, we're divided, we're all those spokes, but when the spokes meet in the centre, then we're all together, we're united. And the nature of reality in that sense relates to the Aboriginal dream time, which is their understanding of holograms, with the human world, the sacred world, and the physical world being a manifestation of those 2 points. It's almost like there is your inner light, there is the light of eternity, and then that meets and gives you the physical form, which is the understanding of holograms. In other words, waveform, digital, human, visual, physical world, which is the hologram. I see this all the time, I sometimes wonder whether I'm going out of my mind, but if I look too quick, I sometimes see pixels. Do you see that sometimes, where everything looks pixelated? And I've not been drinking, by the way. And so the idea of that as being above and beyond the matrix program, above and beyond the mind, and other levels of consciousness that are above and beyond that. Not necessarily above us, but they're outside of us. We're everywhere at the same time. We can't be in one location, we're in every location. We see the world based on energy. This is energy. This is the idea of things coming around and going around. It all appears in the mind anyway. As we were talking about earlier with the mirrors in society, and the idea of what's outside of us is also within us. And Blake said the macrocosm is that. To see a grain of sand in heaven, and heaven in a wildflower, hold affinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. The hologram. You split the hologram down, it's a replication of every single whole. Again, the codes in life, the golden mean, reflexology, acupuncture, all this relates to the hologram. My daughter said to me years ago when she was very small, she said, "Daddy," she said, "why is the world seem like it's trapped inside the eye of a dragonfly?" And the dragonfly stands for illusion in many ancient cultures. There are massive amounts of lenses on the eye of the dragonfly. So let's have a look at it. Looking at the world differently. I mean, you've seen this all the time, haven't you? Faces in trees, faces in clouds. We're looking at the next level of reality. That's a shot above where my parents live, but again, faces forming in the clouds. Very interesting imagery. Sleeping Rock in France, where I was walking, it's a man asleep. The ancients say it was a rock that slept for eternity. Canyon de Chelly in America, New Mexico, Arizona, faces. Look at it again, it's a face looking back at you. Profiles of faces in cliffs, symbolic reversals. My father's house is full of many mansions. The idea on the left of a vine leaf being any different to the Sudan from an aerial shot is the hologram. We live in a hologram where you have gaseous nebulas that look like bacteria. The skin on the human hand is no different to the desert, and as the wind chafes the desert, it's exactly the same. Trees, bronchioles, the lungs, the breath of life. Antelopes, red sables and praying mantis. The face of a dragonfly staring back at you. Insect deities of the Hopi and going way, way back. These are the things that were picked up on by the alchemists and people like Dr. John Dee, the people that were looking at that. There's a spider at the left there. It's a spider's face. Got the dog flea and the alien, which is very interesting. Where do they get their inspiration from? A blue corn stem and a very happy raspberry stem and a very angry strawberry stem. Faces in life, the living nature, it's all an illusion. Universe is a single whole, as Plato said, comprised of many parts that are also wholes. This is the hologram, the universe. It also relates to this, the idea of the whirling rainbow, when everything comes together as one, which is what we're going to be doing in the next 5 or 6 years. There's going to be some tremendous opportunity to do this. We are crystals in a cell. We have many facets to us, but come from the one. This is the universe. This is Indra's net in the Indian Veda and the traditions, where everything is connected to everything. All life is connected to all life. That's humanity from a different viewpoint. We're all stars with jailbreaking as hearts. Fetuses forming in space, it's the same thing. Earth stars. Abraham said, try to hinder another's freedom, always cost you your own. And this is why what we were saying earlier is vital, the idea of this. The more control we invest in society, the more that the game's up. As Michael was saying about the evil being a self-destruct button. I had this idea of this river, this genetic river coming from the one, which I've seen in dreams of great beings, centaurs and other things running through them, faster than trains. This whole idea of life moving in this golden river. I'm nearly at the end now, which is related to the idea of Blake's work in the marriage of heaven and earth. And there's the image of Christ taking the children through the river of life. And on outside of the river are the goddess and the tree of life. And a wonderful story by Jean Genot, which relates to what we can do with our creativity. And it touched me as a young man when I read this, and I've said this before and I can't go into detail now, but the idea that there was a story of a shepherd that at the time of the First World War chose not to go off with his own age group to fight in a foreign land. He chose to stay behind in the countryside of France and plant trees. And the story unfolds over many, many years. The trees became great forests that attracted communities and attracted people, attracted life, and it gave life. So by planting that seed, it gave life, whereas his fellow men went off to destroy life. And that's the choice we have to make. This is the choice we have to make at this time, where we stand back from this nonsense in the world and we make a choice as co-creators to bring life. Cecil Collins, one of the most wonderful artists, who was head of St. Martin's for many years. God is creativeness, love, happiness, life. Unhappiness, uncreativeness is non-existence, absence of life. That says it all really, doesn't it? Two great quotes, and it makes perfect sense. We have to calm ourselves first before we can actually obtain it. So what I'm trying to say here is that we need to activate his own personal mythology. We're all creators in that sense. And what was said in the panel before, which is what I've been doing for the past, well, I've been in this life for the past 20 years or probably longer. Feels like many lifetimes in one life, to be honest, when you go down this path of this spiritual awakening. We have to activate our own personal mythology. We're all unique in that sense, but we come from the same source.